but I'm now. I'm recording now.
We're back to our old ways.
Old ways
of recording because Holiday Nerds is officially over.
But this is the last, I guess, our last podcast of the year.
Last podcast issue.
Yeah, we had a last issue last week.
The last. How do you put it? Because let's think. Last week was the last main issue. Of the year. Mm-hmm. This is the last podcast issue of the year because it's our annual issue.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, explain to me how annual issues work.
So annual, in a comic book standpoint, annual issues are basically, I think of it as this. I've never actually looked into like the whole annual. I should look it up right now as I'm talking about it. But like an annual is kind of like, for me, when I see annuals, it's like a break from the main arc, and it's basically,
it's written by someone else.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So as of a adjective, it's an occurring once every year. That's an annual event. So an annual event, that's what an annual event is. A book or magazine then for the noun, it's a book or magazine that is published once a year under the same title but different contents.
So we're breaking the law of what an annual should be by publishing 2 annuals in 1 year.
Yeah, but that happens in comic books.
That's what I thought. Yeah, sometimes it's like after a big arc, they'll release an annual. And I've seen 2 from the same title happen before.
Oh, yeah.
So technically, we're kind of in the right.
We're kind of in the right in comic book standpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah. That we put out an annual once or twice a year, or even 3 times a year, because it happens a lot.
This is twice a year.
Yeah, this is twice. This is twice under. I don't know when. We've never had a full year yet.
Not yet.
Doing the podcast.
Next year, though.
Next year.
Next year. Do you think we'll make next year like a full run?
Oh,
like no breaks.
Oh yeah, I think so. So far we're doing pretty good under 6 months.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah.
So,
just no breaks. Nothing.
No breaks.
How many issues? Let me think.
How many issues will that be?
There's like 36 weeks in a year, right? Mm-hmm. There's 4 times 12.
So let's just assume we don't do an annual yet until next time we feel like we need to do an annual of something. So let's say...
Well, annuals are usually... The way we do our annuals is if something is, something big ends.
Yeah, something that basically will take over the whole podcast.
Which is
this
Mandalorian,
episode.
yes.
Yeah, season 2 of the Mandalorian. So if you guys haven't read the title of this podcast or annual yet, it's gonna be our full thoughts on the season 2 Mandalorian series, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna break down every episode. We're not just gonna talk about key points. But we're also gonna talk about episode by episode by episode what we thought and stuff like that. Along the way, what we liked and what we didn't like, what we wanted to see and what we loved, and what we didn't expect.
Yes.
And what we got.
Now, keep in mind, we came in to the office. We're going to call this our office.
This is the office.
The Hall of Nerds. We came into the Hall of Nerds on December 19th. And we got into our time machines. And we moved forward to December 30th. Mm-hmm. And then we immediately sat down and started recording. Mm-hmm. So from the 19th to the 30th, whatever happens... Mm-hmm. Any new announcements, anything like that, we don't know.
We won't cover until January.
If anything happens. And the only reason we can't do that is because if we pick up or read the internet right now on December 30th, we break the time constraint.
Yeah.
We break the timeline. And that'll ruin everything.
Yes, definitely.
Just like in Endgame.
Yeah.
And how the Ancient One was talking to the Hulk and explaining how things worked. We don't want that.
No.
We don't want Thanos 2.5 to come out.
Oh, God.
So, if something happens, don't get mad at us.
No.
This is just our thoughts, as Rene was saying, on the Mando Season 2.
Again, our opinions. And we have to strain that. This is our opinions.
Because someone out there, specifically... might get mad and be like, why are you sharing this? Because I'm allowed to. Like, what if this sucked?
Ooh.
Nah, I can't say that with a straight face.
Honestly, man,
No.
we love you guys. This is basically us talking about we love. But I don't want to say I have critiques, but I do have stuff that I think is worth mentioning. And
Oh, there's stuff. Yeah, no. Yeah, for sure. Now, before we get into the intro, which I got to do, and this is, end of the year podcast energy that I got to put out there on this early morning.
I know, early morning. Well,
December 30th.
The last
Wednesday.
issue, guys, you heard us intros and outros were all epic.
Yeah.
But this time we're coming in as soon as we woke up, and we're here. We're doing this episode for you.
Now, before we get into it, so I was thinking about this yesterday. So we're so used to saying the Mando.
Yeah.
Right? Mando.
Yeah.
But it's Manda when spelled out.
Manda. Oh.
Did you ever think about that?
Mandalorian. Yeah, because we say Mandalorian.
You say Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
But it's Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
How come no one's called that out?
I think it's because we're so used to, and it's so like ingrained into society now, to just shorten and say the Mando, when it should be like the Manda.
Yeah.
But that sounds weird.
It does.
Now saying it, because I was typing it into Google to look up some stuff, and I was putting in an O. So I was spelling it Mandolariina or A-N. And it wasn't coming out. It like corrected itself to spell Manda.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I don't know. It's just a little bit of a hiccup that I noticed.
Yeah.
All right. So are we ready to get this podcast started? This annual. All right, here we go. Hello, citizens. Welcome to Keeping Up with the Nerds Variety Hour, coming from 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California, aiming to be Whittier's #1 podcast for all things nerdy. I'm your host, Bryan.
Rene.
And welcome to the show.
Yay.
Last podcast of the year.
Dang.
Yes, we made it.
We've made it through 2020, guys.
28 issues and 2 annuals. What a year.
Yeah.
What a year. And what a year to end. What a way to end it by talking about one of the greatest things we could have ever possibly seen this year.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian Season 2 on Disney+. Who would have thought that beginning this journey of watching 2 seasons of The Mandalorian could have made us this excited for something Star Wars?
Definitely, yeah.
It's amazing to think about.
It got me back into my love for Star Wars again.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing, not even the new trilogy got me it got me interested into it, honestly.
It got you excited.
But The Mandalorian found my love for Star Wars again. It made me find my love for Star Wars again, and which was really good because, again, I think we talked about it, was that I was a Star Wars guy. I mean, I was a lightsaber kid, I loved Jedi. I loved all these different Jedi Knights and stuff like that. And then watching The Mandalorian, it was like, oh man, this is a show that's not based off of that, but just in a world where it's like, kind of like people that are just in between the Empire and the rebellion. It's
something that didn't, because this is the way I see it. I think I see it similar to how you see it, where it's like you look at the main franchise movie line, and it's all lightsabers. So you've got the lightsaber representation in the movies, the space wizards and the fights and the cool stunts and stuff like that. But then these side stories, such as like Rogue One or Solo, The Mandalorian, these shows are the non-lightsabery, the more content, like the context, the stories within the stories kind of story. Yeah. If that made sense.
No, that's true. It's like basically all these characters that are not really the main characters, but we're seeing people live in the Star Wars universe. Yeah. And we're seeing their stories.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the lightsaber stuff. I think that if that's the most captivating, cool, eye-appealing, the sex appeal of Star Wars. And then you look at things like Rogue One. Like for me, Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. And I look at that and it's like, it's not because it's taking out the lightsaber portions of the story. It's that you're getting context out of something that was mentioned in the main stories, the main movies, and you're seeing it firsthand unfold. And, because all these different stories that you hear in the main Star Wars movies, they're just told. They're just stories that are told around the campfire. Yeah. And you can only imagine how the events unfold. Yeah. But then to visually see it from a director's perspective, you're like, wow, that's just kind of how I would picture it to be.
Yeah.
And The Mandalorian did that in a way that was like, I even have a hard time trying to figure what it would be like. Because you know how, like, at least for me, the way I see something that I enjoy, I represent it with food.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I look at something and it's like, oh yeah, I could just picture this to be like the perfect bite of pie. Like for me, my favorite pie is key lime pie.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I love key lime.
Oh, okay.
Key lime is my favorite. But like, if I look at something, I'll picture it as like a slice of key lime pie, like the perfect bite where it's like it's got like the perfect layer of crust, the perfect amount of filling, and then just a little bit of whipped cream on top. And when you dig into it, it's like, you know that was it. But when I look at The Mandalorian, it's hard to put it into that context. I don't think I can compare it because it was just so different than anything I've ever seen in a very positive way. So I would like to approach this episode by taking apart every single episode that was released, every single chapter, and then looking into it on a deeper level. Now, keep in mind, listeners, on our audio platforms, we released commentary tracks.
Yeah.
So there are, as of now, all 8 episodes.
Yeah. By this time, this episode airs, all 8 episodes of season 2 of The Mandalorian commentary tracks will be available. All of them will be available to listen all at once.
Yes.
Or all, binge them through.
Exactly. They're all on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Podbean. Only audio, not on YouTube. So only on our audio platforms. The first portion of it is the actual run of the episode as Rene and I are watching it, and we talk pretty much our thoughts about the issue or about the chapter. And then we give like a 10 to 15 minute summary of what we thought about each one with like our own predictions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're going to approach it that same way. I think that you and I are going to have to split up every episode in this season and take a look at it. Not necessarily like predictions and stuff like that, because they already happened.
We already had predictions,
Yeah. But it's more like we're going to take it apart and go back and think about it.
Yeah, because now we're going to look at it as a whole, as the whole season, where it was hinting at stuff, leading up to certain things, and then showing us what the outcome was and stuff like that.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about a little bit of our predictions, I think, towards the end, obviously.
Yeah.
When it comes to episode 6 or chapter 14, The Tragedy, where me and Bryan predicted basically what would happen, when Grogu, well, that's another spoiler too, is that he, obviously Baby Yoda's name is revealed, but when Grogu reached out to whoever was gonna reach out to him throughout, I guess that, what was it? It was like a Jedi temple, was it?
It was an old abandoned, it was like a Jedi, they said it was a Jedi temple, but it seemed more like a ritual, like meditation, like a spiritual center for Jedi.
Yeah. So wherever he was calling to, so that way he was like putting out essentially a force beacon. Yeah. And whoever answered back and stuff like that. But let's go down to it now. Let's finally get to it and then break it all down. So coming back, so after season 1, after a great season, a great introduction to all these characters, we were left to think, where's this show gonna go? How are we gonna do this, and how far is this show gonna go? Chapter 9 was basically like Jon Favreau was like, okay, well, let's just give you something that fans have been wanting, but you didn't think you really wanted to see yet, which was the whole Marshall episode.
So I completely forgot about that episode until now. I was reading the plot as you were talking, because I was like, okay, well, I got to revisit some of this because it's been so long. It's been 8 weeks ago at this point. Excuse me, 9 weeks ago now. Yeah. No, 10 weeks ago. 10 weeks ago. As of December 30th, 10 weeks ago.
So it basically, this episode opens up with Mando looking for any other Mandalorians in space. And one rumor has said that, there was a Mandalorian spotted on Tatooine. So we go back to Tatooine.
And we're thinking, I don't know why it never occurred to me that this was the one that was supposed to pop out. Yeah,
that's the thing. So it's like, okay, so I guess for us, we really didn't think that they would bring back older characters instead of introducing newer characters. We always thought that, okay, maybe it'd be too hard to explain, or maybe too hard to kind of like show us. But Jon Favreau is basically like, no, it's not that hard.
No.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So he goes to an abandoned, not abandoned, but like a secluded town off of Tatooine. And we're shown what kind of Mandalorian this is. His name's the Marshal. Walks up to Mando, and we see that it's Boba Fett's armor.
We think it's Boba Fett.
Beef with, I don't know. I knew it wasn't because the way he looked. It looked kind of awkward.
Okay, yeah. But it's like, I feel like the shot, the way it was written, is that it's supposed to make you assume your first thought is it's Boba Fett, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it was written and shot. Yeah. But you know on closer inspection that it's not and that it's the armor.
It's just the armor.
So what happened?
So basically we're shown that the Marshal does confront the Mando, and basically he's talking to him and takes off his helmet. And then that's when Mando is known that this is not a true Mandalorian. That we're shown that actually this is an actor named Timothy Oulton. And he plays it great. I love him as the Marshal. I forgot his name. Hold on. What was his character's name? I just clicked on it right now. Cobb Vanith?
Okay.
Yeah. Cobb Vanith, we find out that he found Boba Fett's armor when he was basically running away from, I guess, I don't know, he was running away from
wasn't he the Jawas or something?
No, well, he was found by Jawas.
Yeah.
But he was running away from, like, I guess, like a group of people that were trying to take over the town.
And which they did.
Yeah, they did. And basically he said that, he traded the armor for, I guess he had, like, crystals. Certain crystals and stuff. Someone's gonna tell me right now. It's the crystals, Okay, I get it.
There's the angry people.
Yeah, there's the angry people right now, and that he trades the armor he trades the crystals for the armor. Comes back into town and basically takes back the town
with the armor.
With the armor.
It's like somehow Boba Fett's armor is like the one thing that stops these vandals from taking over the town,
which is kind of funny.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's like when you look at the Boba Fett armor, it's like your first thought is like this guy's like an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now I do have a question for you real quick, because in that scene when he's taking over the bar again, he gets shot, right? So I don't know if this is like a thing or not, but is Boba Fett's armor made of Beskar?
So
I don't know if all Mandalorian armor can take blaster shots. And we'll talk about it in the end.
Yeah.
Because of the last episode.
Well, he does take a hit. But I don't want to say it is Beskar armor because because
keep in mind, look, I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
There's an episode in, I think it's not the Siege, the Harris. In the Harris, chapter 11. Where, all the Mandalorian are getting on the ship. And Mando is the only one that walks straight out of cover and gets shot and doesn't take any damage. But everyone else wearing armor is behind cover. They don't, go out and assault just like the Mando. They have their own way of doing it, and they don't want to get shot. So that's what I was thinking is that, the Marshal comes into the bar and takes a couple shots.
It could be made out of Beskar. It's the same armor that... Oh, it is, because it's the same armor made from Jango. It's Jango Fett's armor.
So it is Beskar.
It is Beskar, yeah.
We'll say it.
It is, yeah, because it is. They did make it known that his armor is made out of Beskar in Attack of the Clones, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's also mentioned in the show that it was his father's former armor as well too. That he basically gave it a new paint job and stuff.
Yeah. So now he goes in, he takes back the town. Long story short, they basically agree that in order for the armor to be given to to the Mando, he would have to help him out with what is it called? The alien thing that looks like a...
Yeah, it's it's a crate dragon.
Yes.
Crate dragon.
It's...
Greater crate dragon. Yeah.
Yes. It lives in an abandoned Sarlacc pit.
Which we've only seen a crate dragon in the movies where it was a skeleton in New Hope.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only time we've seen one.
Now we're seeing a live one.
Yeah.
And so they, with the help of the Tusken Raiders, which I am still in love with the fact that we get culture.
Yeah.
And, relevance.
So Jon Favreau loves to take those characters that you just see in the background of like the previous Star Wars movies and just like, okay, let's dive more into it. Like the Jawas got more love in Mandalorian
Than they ever did in the movies.
Yeah, because we always thought they were just annoying little shits.
No. But these guys are like...
No, they're just basically make a living. They are a little bit, they do take what they want and stuff like that. But sometimes they do making arrangements and stuff like that. Jawas. But the Tusken Raiders got so much love in this series.
They got language.
Yeah.
They got culture. Mm-hmm. They got some sympathy. Mm-hmm. They like, these are people now to us. They're alien races, but they're like people.
Yeah.
If you want to like represent them in a way like that we can be relatable to, they that's who they were. Mm-hmm. And so with the help of the Tusken Raiders and the village people, or the townspeople,
they had to come in agreement and realize that the Krayt Dragon is their common enemy. In order to establish hope, or not hope, but peace, they have to all come together and take the Krayt Dragon down.
Yeah,
which is a great little concept. That's so Western.
The whole movie is I would say movie, but the whole episode is a Western.
It's essentially a big fat Western, which Jon Favreau loves to do.
Yes. So Mando goes in, defeats the Krayt Dragon by himself by doing, a cool little entry into the mouth and blowing it up from the inside by sacrificing the cow dude, the cow animal, the ox thing, whatever you want to call it. Another sacrifice. Cool little thing. Marshall agrees and says, yes, the armor's yours, takes it, end of episode.
Yeah, which, again, Timothy Dalton did a great job of just playing that kind of like Western kind of guy that's just like running the town and like essentially, and like an actual marshal in a Western.
Yes.
Which is great.
Awesome. So if we forgot to mention, directed by Jon Favreau, written by Jon Favreau.
Now, the end of this episode has a little Easter egg, remember, at the end of it, it shows the former actor that played Jango Fett.
The former voice actor.
Former voice actor, but he also played Jango Fett and played the clone troopers and stuff. This would be his first debut as Boba Fett.
Yes.
And we see him with his scarred face and stuff, looking at Mando driving off into the sunset and stuff. And then it just ends with that.
What a way to end that episode. Now, because we do have 7 more to talk about. Yeah. Quick thought on that one. What did you think of the opening for season 2?
It was great.
As a whole.
Yeah, because it was really cool just to see, Mando walk into this like little fight club essentially and just seeing all these stuff and try to figure out where Mandalorians have been all the time. And the great little hint of like the lights are keeping these people alive from these like dark critters with red eyes and stuff like that. It was a great little open, and I love the way that we basically established that this is just your Western kind of vibe in this whole episode.
It set the bar for the rest of season 2, I think.
Especially because it gave us a lot that we didn't even know that we were going to get right away. People knew we were going to... They said... I know that before this season started that, Boba Fett was confirmed to be in this season, but we didn't know when. Everyone assumed it was going to be like the end of the series or at the end of the last 2 episodes. But no, Jon Favreau was like, no, we're just going to open up with it.
He didn't hold back at all. For me, you know this about me. I don't know if our listeners know, but I've always loved the small details in any show or movie that I watch. Like, yes, did I get excited for Boba Fett's reveal at the end of the episode? Sure. Yeah. I did. Of course. Why would you not be, right? But I love the little details that Favreau put into this episode because for me, that was the bar he set.
Yeah.
I am a writer who is going to come and give you what you want as a Star Wars fan because I'm also a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So he took the Tusken Raiders, and I'm not over this still. Like 10 weeks out, I'm still not over the fact that he gave the Tusken Raiders a persona. We finally know more about the Tusken Raiders, right? There were also smaller details in the land speeders that they were using. And we mentioned this in the commentary track. It's like, is this one of Anakin Skywalker's pod racing engines that they use?
It looks like it, honestly.
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the fact that it almost looked like it is a cool little detail.
Yeah.
It's very good. And that set the tone for me. That's at the bar. Like, was Favreau going to just give us more little details as everything goes on, as the rest of the season plays out? Are we going to spot little things here and there? Is he going to respect the idea of Star Wars and not just give us an overfilled cake of Star Wars? Was he going to do this right? And yes. Long story short, yes, he did. So chapter 9 of season 2 was the bar setting episode. Yeah. In my opinion. I think that it wasn't going to represent, I think at the time
we thought it was going to basically be like, okay, this is it. This is where we're going to keep going. Like the bar was set a little high in this first episode. And we thought like, okay, it's only going to be like this now on.
Yes.
Because we did get a great season in season 1. Each episode was really fun to watch. I think there was hardly an episode we didn't like. Yeah. There wasn't hardly an episode that was even slow as well, too.
Well, that's where I think we're going to disagree a little bit. Yeah. But keep in mind that chapter 9 was like the episode that kind of didn't really give us that forward momentum in terms of like, where is Grogu going to go? Or where at the time, the child, where was he going to go? This is more of like a fun little episode where he just gets Boba Fett's armor and we get the little tease and that's it. Yeah. Even chapter 10, the passenger, we'll move on to that one now unless you got a thought on.
No, that's it. Yeah. Okay. Just chapter 9 was a great. And so for me, you and I thought that it was going to keep going.
Yes. Yeah. So chapter 10, The Passenger, directed by Peyton Reed and written by Jon Favreau.
If you guys don't know Peyton Reed, he also directed Ant-Man.
Yes.
The first 2 Ant-Man movies.
Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, he also done he also did Bring It On, the movie. And he also did The Breakup and Yes Man. So he was a comedy guy before he did action or superhero movies.
I mean, just like Taika Waititi, who directed What We Did in the Shadows, and that was basically like his movie when he came into Thor Ragnarok, and what a movie did he make over there, and then did the last episode of season 1, The Redemption, in The Mandalorian.
He also did a bunch of TV shows as well too. He done, what is it? His well-known show is The Weird Al Show, and other one is The Unicorn, which is presently out right now, which is a good show. Oh, he also did New Girl.
Oh, I like New Girl.
I like New Girl. Okay, so he knows comedy.
Yes.
All right.
So when we looked at this episode, we kind of saw Peyton Reed as like, okay, like, what are you doing here kind of thing. And for us in the commentary tracks, we pretty much said that this was the slowest and probably the least exciting episode. It felt like a side mission arc for us.
That's the thing. And it was one, and after, because actually chapter 9 was what, 40 minutes?
Yes, 50-ish. It was like a long episode.
It was a long episode. So we thought moving forward, okay, maybe they're going to be like 40 minutes now. This one was like 30. Yeah. This one was shorter. This one, it didn't, like we said, progress a lot. You know, it just kind of was, like you said, a side mission. We were taking a break from the main narrative and stuff, and just basically put in a situation in this episode.
Yes. Now, just to give you a quick 2-minute summary, basically, as he's departing Tatooine, his friend says, I can give you and help you out with the location of, you know, where you might need to take the child to get more information about the Jedi.
To see other Mandalorians.
Oh, yes. Yes. Other Mandalorians. But in order to do so, you must bring this passenger over to a home planet where her husband is at so that they can fertilize their eggs and create more offspring and stuff.
Now, the thing is that they can't go into hyperspeed.
No.
Because the eggs are so fragile. Yes. They will die in hyperspeed.
So, yeah, isn't it hyperspace?
Hyperspace? Or is it No, it's hyperspeed.
They can't go into hyperspeed.
Yeah. They can't go into hyperspeed.
What, you know what I mean.
That's what I said. Don't question me.
Look it up right now as we're talking.
No, I am. So the Mandalorian transport passenger frog lady. It says the frog lady. Husband and fertilize eggs and information, blah, blah, blah. Span and fragile, must not be transported in light speed. Light speed. That's what it is. Despite the risk of being attacked by pirates. The child. Oh, yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
That goes on.
So
it can't go into light speed.
Yeah. No. So they get stopped by the patrol. They try to escape, go through the ice planet. They crash land. And so they have,
they ran into X-Wing pilots.
Patrol.
From the new,
Yeah, the New Republic Patrol.
New Republic. Yeah, the New Republic. So they had to crash land in the ice, which was it? It wasn't Hoth.
It wasn't Hoth, I don't think.
I don't think so, because they would have said Hoth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as he's trying to fix it, Grogu and the Frog Lady are essentially like going off on their own thing.
Mind you, Grogu is eating these eggs.
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Remember,
he ate it in the beginning before they crashed.
Oh yeah, the Frog Lady's eggs.
Yeah, the Frog Lady's eggs.
Yeah,
he's like slurping them up, which has caused like the biggest controversy.
Which, according to Kevin Smith, he committed genocide. Shut up. Kevin Smith.
Okay,
Jesus Christ, man.
Why is everyone getting so mad that he's eating these eggs? They could be delicious.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it sucks because these are babies. Like, I get it. But also, Kevin Smith, when he said that, I was like, I get what you're trying to say. You're trying to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to side with
But he has
people.
a big voice in the social media.
I don't give a crap. I love Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But don't go out there instigating people to get angry.
Yeah.
I'm angry now because he needed to shut up.
I'm angry right now, and the season's done.
Just shut up. It wasn't. We get it. It was a little bit of a part of an episode. But shut your mouth. Just shut your mouth. Don't say stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, they go. Frog Lady and Grogu go off into the hot spring. Or no, Frog Lady goes out into the hot spring to keep the eggs and herself warm. There was this cool little sequence when she uses the former bounty hunter droid to communicate with Mando.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially
she really needs to leave.
Yes, but there's nothing he can do. Mm-hmm. And it's like a reminder of basically like, your people never break a promise, and now you're about to by staying here. So that encourages them to go on quicker. But Frog Lady leaves the ship. She goes into a hot spring. Mando and Grogu go and find her. They go into this abandoned little hot spring space where Grogu decides to eat these alien inspired looking eggs, and it wakes up massive Spider-Man monster,
Ice
spider monster, ice spider monster,
which was interesting. We found out at the end of that episode, I mean not the end, but after that episode came out, we found out that was actually a character, a concept that they were going to try to use that ice spider for Empire.
Yes.
Which was really cool because you see the concept art that they did for it. It was Luke taking on an ice spider.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that would have been so cool.
It was cool.
But we get to see, and that's why I like the Mandalorian is that they're using stuff that they've been wanting to use, and they have an excuse to use it in the Mandalorian now. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that.
So they manage to escape. X-Wing pilots come back, and they essentially say, well, they basically just let him off.
Yeah, they let him off, and they said basically, well, because you helped Cara Dune. You saved her life, in the against, was it, I guess at the end of season 1, and basically they said that, okay, we'll call it even if you fix that transponder unit in your in your ship next time, so that way we don't arrest you. Mm-hmm. So they just leave him off, and he's there, basically fixing the Razor Crest, trying to get it up and running, and basically it ends with them basically in the cockpit and just leaving and just going to the nearest planet they need to go.
Yeah. No, they actually. The actual planet. She needed to drop Frog Lady. That was a lot of basicsly's for you. Basically. I was like, so overall, as an episode, we said that it was one of the slowest and probably least exciting out of everything we've seen. Yeah, which is kind of not fair now that I'm looking at it, because it was only the second episode of season 2. It was only the second episode,
but the thing was that we came off an episode that was so not fast paced, but so kind of like interesting and little bit of fan servicey that we basically was kind of expecting.
The bar was set up high.
Yeah.
And this one was a little bit lower.
It was a little bit lower as of like.
Okay, not a little bit, a lot lower.
Yeah.
It wasn't filled with Easter eggs.
No.
It wasn't plot moving forward.
No.
It wasn't anything special. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it went wrong, but I don't want to say it wrong in a disrespectful way.
Yeah. Well, even in the commentary track, we weren't really too enthused about it.
No,
we were talking about it, but it was like, oh yeah, kind of. This was cool. I like that. Like, I think the only scene I liked was when they're running away from the ice spider, and then like the cave that they're running through, because it felt like a video game, like cinematic that you're going through.
The way I see this episode is, if I can compare it to something that's relevant, is like to me it's like if I'm playing a side mission in Skyrim, in Elder Scrolls Skyrim, if any listeners know what I'm talking about. It's like it's not the main story, but it's like a little side mission that you talk to someone, you find out from talking to someone at a bar, and essentially he leads you to another town, and it's just kind of like there, and it's nothing special. It's just kind of like just an XP incentive mission.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw from here. It's nothing too big. And it was a little bit disappointing because when we looked at Peyton Reed, he was a new director here. And we thought that this was like his foot into the Mandalorian, and he didn't give us anything special.
No.
And I mean, there's really nothing much else to say than the episode was an episode.
It was just a normal episode. It didn't feel special. It didn't feel a lot happened in it. We were just progressing from. It was like a bridge to basically episode 1 to episode 3.
Yeah, and there were
which is fine
for me. A little small detail was the eggs that Grogu's eating. They looked like the eggs.
They opened up like the eggs from Alien.
Yeah, and that was, I think, about it. I think there were probably a couple more little Easter eggs, like you said, the spider monster that was supposed to be in Return of the Jedi. That was the concept. Empire, excuse me.
Gotta make sure we get these facts.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry to the one listener that might have been completely offended and probably stopped listening to us right then and there.
That's how I think fanboys, hardcore fanboys.
Oh
sound.
no. I've met people like that.
Gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers of Star Wars. It's like, excuse me, you're wrong, and you cannot be disrespecting Star Wars that way.
Yeah, Star Wars is such a beautiful concept that I'm the only one that loves it, and anyone loves it. They're just wrong. I'm sorry, but that's been a thing on TikTok, honestly. I've been on TikTok, and so many people are calling out gatekeepers. There was a gatekeeper on TikTok that tried to say something like that, and I love that all these fangirl women, all these fanboys that are women, and they're just like, no, they're like throwing knowledge at him. They know more than he does. And I'm like, yes, get it done, girls.
All right, we got to keep going because we've got 6 other episodes and about 30-ish minutes left into the podcast to talk about all this. So the passenger is over. Chapter 11, the Harris. We get to the planet. I'm enjoying watching, out of everything, for me, I'm enjoying seeing all these different planets, seeing all these different aliens. Was it the first episode where we met? It was the boxing, or it was the axe fighting. Yeah. Right? That's where that was the first episode, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's go back just for like 30 seconds to the Marshal. Seeing a lot of the alien races being portrayed as like costume wearing actors and puppets was so great to see. Because we got to see it in the film, but it was a lot of CGI, like Maz, for example, right? She was computer generated. Yeah. But a lot of these aliens in The Mandalorian, they're all costume wearing.
Yeah, all props and stuff.
Yes,
like that,
going into the Harris, into this little Bay Cove, area, harbor area.
It's
It's great. Even the frog lady is like, you can tell is a puppet. Yeah. Or not a puppet, but like a costume wearing actor
with
or actress.
With the animatronic helmet or something like that.
It's great to see. So he goes into this planet, they finally meet each other and they go their separate ways. And Mando goes into a bar to essentially meet up with someone who could lead him to more Mandalorians, which, they agree and they say, cool, let's get on the boat. I'll take you over there. And in this boat ride, the quote unquote workers essentially throw the child into a pit and get eaten, which gets eaten by a weird octopus looking thing.
Yeah, some sort of underwater creature.
Yes. And, Mando dives in. Yeah.
Space Kraken.
A space water kraken in a tiny version. Yeah. Mando dives in, tries to save him, couldn't do anything, gets trapped behind a gate.
Drowning, basically.
Yes. And, lo and behold, who pops in?
Bo-Katan.
And her crew. Coming in, kicking ass.
First live-action debut.
Yes.
We've only seen them in both, I think, Clone Wars. I don't think they're in Rebels, are they? I haven't watched Rebels yet.
I think Well, they pop up in the animated series is what we'll say it. We're going to get corrected again. But they come in, save Mando and the child, and essentially, they say, help us out here. Yeah. Because we want to try to find Moff Gideon for our own reasons, which Bo-Katan basically says it's because of the Darksaber. Yeah. Right? So they make a plan to essentially, get into this cargo ship, an Empire cargo ship.
Yeah, it's a transport cargo ship.
To find the location of Moff Gideon. Cool sequence of going into there, kicking ass, and all this other stuff. A little comedic bit where they lock the Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, where did you lock them up? Oh, it was like the control panel.
The control panel in the Bay.
They all get sucked out and thrown into the ocean. Now, all those people are dead.
Yeah.
There's no way. I don't know what underwater creatures are in there, but they all got eaten, which sucks. But I mean, whatever, right?
Star Wars.
It's Star Wars. Millions of people died on the Death Star. Yeah. So what's a couple 10?
Yeah, stormtroopers and like Imperial like leaders are expendable. We don't feel bad when they die.
But the engineers and the workers that were just getting paid, oh no, they're dead now.
They're dead.
So they finally get into the launch or the Bay Area of the cargo ship. Bo-Katan manages to get the leader of the ship, who then kills himself by biting into an electric chip in his tooth or something like that, before not revealing the location of Moff Gideon, essentially saying we gotta kill off the ship and prevent where the location's gonna be at.
It's revealed that Bo-Katan is looking for Moff Gideon for the Darksaber.
Yes. And Mandalorian basically completes his
mission, and then Bo-Katan says that you need to go to a planet where you can find Ahsoka.
Yes.
Which is like, what?
That was the first name reveal. We knew Ahsoka, just like Boba Fett, was going to be in the show. Yeah. When? We didn't know.
No, we didn't know. And then, mind you, this episode was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Bryce Dallas Howard, written by Jon Favreau.
Yes. Great episode.
So, both of us were excited.
Yeah.
Because Bryce Dallas Howard directed in season 1 The Sanctuary, which is where we first meet Cara Dune.
Yes.
And the episode was just fantastic.
It was actually really done really well. Yeah.
Bryce Dallas Howard in the gallery on Disney Plus, where they talk about The Mandalorian, said that she never had experience directing. This was her first big thing.
This was her directorial debut in season 1.
She comes back in season 2 and just delivers a beautiful,
which she loves directing in water.
Now that I think about it, right? But like, bam, right there, just gives you another jam-packed action, beautifully done.
So far, this was our favorite episode, I think, so far.
Yes, we said that this was top out of the 3 that we've seen, top 1.
Yeah.
Right now, what did you think of the episode as a whole? In terms of like plot moving forward and character reveals.
This was really good. This was something that we needed after watching chapter 10, after The Passenger. We needed more progression, which again, it was fleshed out in this whole episode, and it didn't feel rushed. And this was the shortest one, actually.
Yeah.
This was 30 minutes.
But it felt like it was enough.
Yeah.
You visually saw enough to be satisfied and be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I wanted from an episode.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was great. I loved it. It was fast pacing, but again, it didn't feel short. It didn't feel long. It didn't feel like everything was just jam packed. Everything flowed very well.
Yes.
Overall, this was a great episode.
Yes. We got enough Easter eggs to make it satisfactory for us.
Yeah.
We got enough reveals. But the most important thing, at least in my eyes, we checked off a main check from the main quest line. We got to see more Mandalorian, which then revealed the location of where we needed to take the child next. So the first episode said we need to find the Mandalorians that could lead us to a Jedi that can train Grogu, right? Or the child.
Yeah, if you can't find anyone of his race, then we need to find the people that know of his abilities, which is the Jedi.
Exactly. So the Marshal,
a Jedi.
Yes, the Marshal set up the quest line. The Passenger was a side mission.
Was a bridge to get to chapter 11.
And then the Harris was the check off the first step on the main mission. And we get the reveal of Ahsoka.
Yes.
We came out of the episode saying that the next episode was going to be Ahsoka's, not we. I did.
Yeah.
I said Ahsoka was going to be revealed in the next episode. We already knew that Carl Weathers was going to direct this.
Yes.
And that made you think, no, we're not going to get a debut of Ahsoka because Dave Filoni wants to save that.
Yeah. Dave Filoni would want to do that. I feel like he would want to do that episode.
Yes.
And he would do however he wanted to do it because that's his character that he created.
And we came in thinking that we were going, because we got a high again. We were on that high.
Yeah.
We were on.
Good. We're like, oh my gosh.
We got the high back from the first
Yeah.
episode. And so we thought, okay, but I think we knew, not that we thought, we knew that the pattern of episodes was going to be main mission side, main mission side. And so
I think looking back at it now, from episode 2, when basically the Razor Crest gets pretty much really scrapped, like really bad, that it had to go into chapter 11, and then we had to say basically go into like, oh, okay, yeah, like we know where to go, but now where we need to go, we need to fix the ship, which is now the next episode is when he goes and meets up with Cara Dune, and I forgot Carl Weathers' character in the episode.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
So are we done talking about?
Yeah, because now we can basically, that's basically Grief Gargan. That's who it is.
Okay.
So basically now it's like, okay, we get to see now Mandalorian has to fix his ship in order for the next
He got
episode.
the ship well enough maintained to go and revisit the planet that started it all.
Yeah.
And we got to see Cara Dune and would you say Grief?
Grief Kargan.
Grief Kargan. We get to see our old friends back.
Yeah.
Chapter 12, The Siege, directed by Carl Weathers.
This was his first directorial debut as well.
And written by Jon Favreau. We came in thinking this is a side quest.
Yeah.
This is more information to try to figure out where we can find Ahsoka. And I thought Ahsoka was going to be revealed at the end of the episode. Unfortunately, she didn't.
No.
But to summarize the entire episode, essentially, Cara Dune and Grief essentially come in and tell Mando, we can give you the information, but help us out first because this planet isn't doing so well because of an old abandoned mine, Imperial mine that exists in the outskirts of this area. Yeah. We need to take it down in order for this to become another central trade hub again in the Outer Rim. We want to. Yeah. Cara Dune gets revealed to be a marshal essentially for the place, right? Is she?
Yeah.
A marshal?
Yeah, she's marshal on the planet.
At that planet, right? And so like they all get upgrades. It's been so long, technically not really, but it's been so long that these characters have grown now, right? So Mando agrees. They go into the abandoned mine, abandoned, quote unquote, abandoned Imperial mine. Yeah. They essentially take it down, and we learn that the reason as to why the Empire wants the child is for something called the M count.
Which is the midichlorian count.
We're assuming it's the midichlorian because it wasn't really said as midichlorian.
I think because they don't want to mention it because that was something that fans didn't necessarily agree with when it came to the whole learning of becoming a Jedi.
It's just like a rewritten part of it, right? Yeah. So we find that information out. They blow up the mine.
The mine, yeah.
The facility. And Grief and Cara Dune alongside his companion, this little servant guy that's trying to
get a little blue fish dude.
Yeah, with the comic relief of the entire thing, are basically being chased down by land speeders and TIE fighters.
It was a great chase scene.
Yeah, fantastic. The Mando basically left to go pick up the child.
Yeah,
and and what a reveal! Who comes in to save the day
with a new ship that's all prettied up and spit shine?
Yep, just polished nicely and stuff. The Razor Crest comes in. What a scene to direct. Yeah. For Carl Weathers to come in and say, I'm going to take a hold of this aerial fight between, to me at least, one like now that I've seen it, like a beautiful Razor Crest starship and a TIE fighter. Yeah. Great direction in just showcasing everything. So they get saved. Yeah. They finally reveal where they need to go to, find Ahsoka. Yeah. And the episode ends. Yeah. What did you think?
I loved it. It was a great little side. It was better than The Passenger as of side missions go. Again, it was an episode that we didn't get a lot of progression, but it was still pretty cool to watch. It's cool to revisit Cara Dune and Grief Kargan, Carl Weathers did a great job. It was a nice little fun mission to see. The action was great. Everything was good. Loved it.
Not so many Easter eggs and stuff like that.
No. Well, we did get an Easter egg that we didn't know we got, which was the background crew member.
Oh, wait, who?
Remember the background guy that was, you see like his jeans and shirt in the...
Oh, that's right.
His little mistake. Gene Man.
Which was, rest in peace, 2020 to 2020. Yeah. Was removed from the episode. Yeah. But will forever be in our hearts. Fantastic character. What a great character. What plot moving forward, or what plot progressing character.
Yeah.
But it was a side mission. And again, I feel sad for the passenger because we compared it in the commentary track. We basically kept going back to it and saying, like, the passenger was the weakest episode so far.
Yeah.
Weakest chapter. And it didn't progress anything. It didn't really move anything forward. But we got, even in this side mission, we got a little bit more details to progress the main quest forward. So, chapter 13, the Jedi. As soon as we saw that.
Yes.
Oh, we predicted in the last episode in chapter 12 that
Ahsoka would be
revealed.
Yeah, revealed. But we didn't know how.
Oh, I said the lightsabers.
Well, you said, no, I mean, I think I said it would be, Ahsoka would be revealed in either the middle or the end of the episode.
Yes.
But you predicted how she would come on to screen.
Which was the reveal of the
lightsabers.
lightsabers. Yes. Chapter 13, the Jedi. The first sequence we see.
Oh, man. Dave Filoni was just like, I'm just going to do it. This is it. Here she is. Like,
there it is.
Yeah.
Lightsabers in full white. And she's just kicking ass.
Taking names.
Taking just no mercy.
Uh-huh.
Can you quickly describe this episode? Just give us a short summary.
Yeah. So basically this basically opens up with, I guess, in a town that's run by a former Empire, I guess, was it fighting?
No, I think she was like a supply, like someone that just gave supplies to the Empire.
So we find out, she's taking over this small little town and stuff like that. But then we see that someone's appearing outside of the walls of it. And then next thing you know, we see just white lightsabers lighting up and just cutting down all the trees, cutting down all these people. And then it's revealed who it is specifically, and it's Ahsoka. Ahsoka. It opens with Ahsoka just saying, you have one day to let me in, or to free these people of the town, or I come in by force. So, and then basically the rest of the episode goes in and we see the Razor Crest lands down and stuff. And he takes Baby Yoda into the town, because that's the nearest town. That's the nearest inhabitable place in the planet. And then it's not revealed, but then the leader of the town basically says that, here, I have a job for you. I need you to kill a Jedi. If you kill a Jedi, I could help you and stuff, or pay you greatly and stuff. And he goes, okay, fine. Goes into the town. Oh, and then she says that if you kill the Jedi, I'll give you this, which is a Beskar staff.
Pure Beskar.
Yeah, pure Beskar. So he's like, fine, and goes off. And then it's revealed that, they meet up, both Mando and Ahsoka. They see that, he tells her, I'm here because I have something for you. And she says, well, I hope it's about him, which is Baby Yoda. Then it's revealed again later on is that they have like a Jedi kind of like conversation through the Force. And it's revealed that he has a name the whole time. Grogu.
Huh?
Grogu.
Huh?
And we Grogu?
What?
But then we get more stuff that is revealed that he was on Coruscant. That he was there during the slaughter of the Jedi.
The Order 66.
And he was taken by another Jedi and put in that, I guess, that little container thing into hypersleep the whole entire time. And basically Ahsoka says, well, in order to do this, if you want me to take the child, I need, again, there's always something that Mando has to do to get what he needs to. Ahsoka needs help to take back the town. So they go and take back the town, which is really good shot, by the way. It's all just super fun action by this time. Then we get to see Ahsoka take on the leader of the town against her Beskar staff, and then also Ahsoka's lightsabers, which is really cool. We get to find out that lightsabers or Beskar metal can withstand lightsabers.
I think we've already know
Was it?
Yeah, I think it might have been revealed before that Beskar can take it. But for those, again, Favreau does a great job in giving you Spark Note versions of certain things in the show. When Ahsoka attacks Mando for the first time, the way Mando blocks is reactionary. It's not knowing, oh, my armor will prevent the lightsabers from cutting through. It was reactionary, and wow, wait, lightsabers can't cut through that armor? And it was like a cool reveal. So, it's just like the Sparks Note versions of, in case you didn't know kind of thing. So the fight happens and we have two scenarios.
Yeah.
Mando versus the former soldier and the what do you call it? I forget her name, but like the leader essentially versus Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka wins.
But where it's revealed who she's looking for. We thought it was going to be Moff Gideon because assuming, Moff Gideon's the main villain in this whole series so far. But then she says, "Where is General Thrawn?" And we're like, "What?"
Bam, done.
Yeah.
Transition into the celebration scene. And Ahsoka says, "I can't take the child."
Yes.
Even though I said, "Help me out here," I can't.
Yeah.
You got to take the child over to a Jedi temple. In another planet and let him meditate there using the Force to find and reach someone out that can take him. And that is all.
Yeah.
Episode ends.
Yeah.
What did you think of the episode?
It was a great episode, honestly. It was basically our first introduction to a Jedi in the series because we haven't seen a Jedi. So this was the first, and it was great to see Ahsoka in live action debut played by Rosie Dawson. And she did a great job really, playing this character. And I really enjoyed the lightsaber action, and I really enjoyed just interaction. We get more progression about Grogu now. We know where he came from. We know where he stands in this whole thing and stuff, that he was trained, but he wasn't fully taught everything and stuff like that. And I loved it.
We get the Easter egg in the form of the owl that follows Ahsoka, which kind of hinted at the reveal a couple seconds afterwards that Ahsoka would be coming up towards the Mando and there would be a fight there. For me, I looked at this episode and appreciated the direction out of everything, the production value. In the commentary track, I was saying that Dave Filoni took advantage of the fact that he was a director and creator of animation. And that's how he approached this, by never having more than two central characters in every shot. It was always two. Or if there were three or four, they would just kind of be there and they wouldn't move or anything, or very lightly move. Even the shots when Ahsoka is taking down all the droids that are going after her were very animated-y shot, if that makes sense. Animation, it was inspired by animation. When she drops from the roof and then goes and the lightsaber's like horizontal on the screen. It's like that was that. Like, come on, you see that in animation in Clone Wars and the Rebels. That's kind of like an iconic shot. And Filoni took advantage of that in showing us a live version a live version of that. The Beskar reveal that it could withstand lightsabers is pretty cool. And we got plot progression. We finally, Ahsoka can't take them, so there are more Jedi. Whoa. The next episode. For this next two chapters, I want to combine them. So chapter 14, The Tragedy, and chapter 15, The Believer. The Tragedy was directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by Jon Favreau. And then The Believer's the only one that wasn't written by Jon Favreau. It was written by Rick Famuyiwa and also directed by Rick Famuyiwa, who is the same person that directed last season's episode.
I think it was The Prisoner?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was it. It was The Prisoner. That was the one with Bill Burr.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Our third or fourth favorite character in the Star Wars, in the Mandalorian series, because he's just great.
Hang on. Third character. Because I like Mando. Cara Dune. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, third or fourth, or Baby Yoda, if you like Baby Yoda that much.
No. Give me a doll so I can kick him, punt him out of here.
No, don't say that.
No, Grogu. I don't like Baby Yoda. I like Grogu.
Oh, there you go. Okay, snob. You fanboy snob.
No, but the reason I want to combine those two, not only because we're kind of running short on time, and, but more because I feel like these two episodes we can put together in a good enough explanation, because I don't want to say that they're similar, because I feel like that's disrespecting the directors.
It felt like it was like a part 1 and part 2 kind of arc.
That's
the thing.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Part 1, part 2 do the season finale, the season finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian. So what happened in the tragedy again? I think you remember it better.
Yeah, so in the tragedy, basically what happens is that we finally get to the temple, or the former Jedi temple.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And Grogu is put on the little stand, or the stone stand, or the rock, or whatever, and nothing's happening so far. Basically, next thing you know, we see Slave One coming down.
Isn't that the first reveal?
Yeah, that's like the first reveal, and nothing happens yet. Slave One starts landing, and then Mando's like, "We gotta go," but then boom, Grogu is like inside this like force field of force energy, putting out like a force beacon and putting it out there for whoever Jedi or whoever force sensitive person will respond to him.
Yeah.
But Mando can't go inside of it, so he's trying to like basically saying, "Okay, I'll buy you time," and that's it. And he goes down and tries to see who came out of that ship. Which we all know
it's Boba Fett.
It's Boba Fett. Yeah.
The big surprise was
it was what was her other character's name? Hold on, I gotta pull it up. But what was her name?
While you look that up, I will say this: I've always found it funny seeing the chemistry between the Mandalorian. Should we call him by his name?
Jin. What's his name?
Isn't it Din?
It's Din. Is it Din?
Hang on, we can.
Now
we got to look up. Here it is. I found it. If my phone didn't decide to break itself,
he's like,
it literally. Din Djarin.
Din Djarin. Okay,
but I like calling him the Mando.
Mando, or just Mando.
Yeah, we'll just call him the Mando.
Yeah.
So I like the relationship between Mando and Grogu because Mando still treats him like a child.
Yeah.
But then when he speaks to him in like concerning moments, it's like you and I talking, like adults. I'm trying to communicate with you, child, that there is danger and we need to get the heck out of here. But out of danger, take the ball, buddy. Come on, buddy.
Come on.
You did it. Good job, boy.
Dang Ferrick. Or Dang Ferrick? Is it Dang?
Dang Ferrick.
Dang Ferrick, yeah. So, okay, so I just now pulled it up. But then Boba Fett arrives asking for the armor. But the thing is that there is a sharpshooter that has a lock on Grogu, and that's revealed to be Fennec Shand, which is the former bounty hunter from season 1. Was it the Gunslinger episode?
Yes.
In which basically we saw her fate. But there was at the end of the episode, we saw footsteps go up to her, which is now confirmed that was Boba Fett helping her out. And stuff.
That was actually the first reveal.
That was the first reveal, but we didn't know who it was, essentially. So that was really cool that they kind of like went full circle with her character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then basically Boba and Mando are speaking, trying to come to an understanding and stuff like that. But then they get interrupted by the Imperial starship, which comes down with a bunch of stormtroopers, and because they want the child as well too. So, which comes full circle again, where basically again we find out that there was 2 episodes ago there was a tracker beacon they put in
that was Carl Weathers' episode.
Yeah,
the siege.
The siege, yeah. So now they finally kind of went back on that one as well too. So which was cool. We get to see basically Mando and Fennec take on stormtroopers, but in this one they sounded kind of weird, a little hokey at first.
They were very they were like they were very comical, and I had a little bit of a problem with that.
And I think because it's Robert Rodriguez, directing, and that's how he is honestly when it comes to like goons or
sure. I mean, because it was difficult to kind of see that because you had the comical stormtroopers trying to get the job done. They couldn't hit a target. But then you had Boba Fett on the other side just kicking ass and taking lives, no mercy style. He broke helmets and stabbed stormtroopers, and you're just kind of like, do I laugh or do I like this or do I do both?
This is the first time we get to see Boba Fett just kind of like be a badass. Yeah. I mean, we've seen.
Oh, no, don't say that.
No.
Can't say that.
I can't say that.
But did you remember in Return of the Jedi when he
got hit and went into the Sarlacc pit?
Shut up, Rene. You don't know how cool Boba Fett was to me.
He looked like a badass. I'll give him that.
But this made to sell toys.
Yeah. So basically, we're seeing how he fights in this one, which is cool. So then next thing you know, Mando and Fennec are basically pinned down by stormtroopers. And Boba Fett comes in, but full-on Boba Fett here. He grabs his armor and basically kicks a bunch of ass in this one.
He does. He leveled up. He digivolved into Boba Fett.
He got his coins and armored up and
Yeah.
stuff like that. He went from level 1.
There were like 3 different references there.
He went from like level 1 to level 50, like really quick. He got a couple of cheat codes and stuff. But no, it was really cool to see the armor again on Boba Fett, the character again. That was really cool.
Yeah.
And we get to see him use all of his toys and stuff, which was really fun. And then basically,
You're forgetting. Nice shot.
No, yeah.
I wasn't aiming for that one.
I was aiming for the other ship. And so then basically Mando tries to go back to Baby Grogu because he's done using the Force and he's laying there. But then a bunch of Death Trooper scouts, or was it Death Trooper drones? Mm-hmm. Droids come down and basically take Baby Grogu. Mm-hmm. And then then they destroy the Razor Crest.
Yes. The tragedy.
The true tragedy of the episode was that.
Yes.
That was
I know. Trust me. I know how you feel. Like I said, it's like for me, it was like seeing the USS Enterprise get destroyed in Star Trek. Mm. And I was like, I get the feeling. Like people don't understand it. Yes, it's just a junk of like a piece of metal.
It was his
his baby. We went with the ride. Mm-hmm. I get you. No, I understand. Mm-hmm. That's the end of the episode, right?
Basically, there's nothing more that they hint at. Obviously, I mean, we could talk about it more, but obviously we were cutting down for time. The main point is Baby Grogu gets taken, and then Moff Gideon has him now, and Mando and Boba Fett and Fennec. Well, Boba Fett and Fennec have now come to the understanding that because of Boba Fett getting the armor for Mando, he is now in his debt to retrieve the child, and then their debt will be paid after that.
Yes. The Believer, that was a very short episode. Not The Believer, The Tragedy was a very short episode.
It was a short episode. It didn't feel long again, but it didn't feel too short. But also, it was not too much. Not a lot happened. Only key parts, like 2 or 3 key parts, happened in it, which was basically, baby Yoda or Grogu was reaching out to someone, and then he was taken.
Yes,
that was it.
Now, The Believer is the one where it was written by Rick Famuyiwa, and we get Bill Burr's character back. Mm-hmm. That one ended up being a tad bit longer than the ones beforehand.
Yeah, it was 36 minutes.
Just
this
a tad.
Like 40 minutes essentially.
Yeah. And this episode is basically they bring his character back and they go to a planet that has housing a an Imperial mining facility.
Yes.
They try to break in to retrieve the coordinates and locations of Moff Gideon's ship.
Because they need an Imperial computer, essentially.
Yeah, that scans the person's face. Mm-hmm. And in order to do so, Bill Burr says, I'll go. And Mando also volunteers to go along with him.
Because we find out, it's hinted earlier that he was a formal Imperial soldier. Mm-hmm. And he knows how all the innards works, how the computer works, and what to do, and all the codes and stuff like that. He still remembers and stuff.
We get a minor little scene where they hijacked a mining truck. Mm-hmm. They get attacked by pirates, and they get saved by some TIE fighters once they reach the facility. Mm-hmm. We thought that they were almost going to die, but they don't. They get a hero's welcome when they reach the facility.
Mind you, Mando and Migs are in Imperial armor. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
which is kind of a cool looking armor, but
I like that.
Yeah, I think it's just like mining armor basically, or something like that, right? Yeah. So they get to the facility, they find the computer, but Migs decides to turn around and say, "No, I can't do this because the general I served under is sitting right there. Mm-hmm. So he'll recognize me and think something suspicious." Mm-hmm. Mando decides to volunteer himself and go. He goes to the computer, he inputs the code, no facial recognition, and he does the one thing he swore not to do, which is take off his helmet to allow the computer to read his face and give him the coordinates of Moff Gideon. Mm-hmm. That was the point where, and I jokingly say this, but I 100% mean it, he became Space Dad and wants to save his child. Mm-hmm. So the general basically gets up. Mm-hmm. He starts, questioning his incentives. Why are you here? Who are you? And all these different things. Yeah. Migs comes in, saves the day by essentially like making up this long story. Mm-hmm. And they both sit down to share a drink. As they're sharing a drink, is it Migs?
Yeah, it's Migs.
Migs, okay.
Migs, yeah.
As they're sharing a drink, Migs and the general essentially have this back and forth where we see what he went through when he served under him. Miggs says that the battle of, does it say on there exactly?
Was it Fears?
Basically,
it doesn't say the battle on here.
So the big battle he fought,
died in Operation Cinder.
Operation Cinder, that's the one.
Yeah.
So he witnessed the death of thousands of, fellow troopers he served with.
And civilians.
Civilians. For what? The Empire? And the general says, but it is a victory for the Empire. And those people died knowing that, proudly serving, their beliefs and stuff. Miggs disagrees, says something, shoots them.
Yes.
And they essentially have a shootout to escape the facility.
Yes. Basically, at that point, the whole facility is against them now.
Yes. As they escape on the Slave One, Miggs takes the gun,
the rifle,
and shoots one of the tractors holding the.
What is it? It's what was the compound?
It starts with
Verdonium.
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 I wanted to say Viridium, but that's Marvel. It's Verdonium.
Verdonium.
Right? Verdonium. Blowing up the entire facility. Cara Dune says that was some great shooting. Pardons him. Leaves him on that planet. Basically. Essentially, they go on, with the last scene being.
Mando sends a message to Moff Gideon, but it's the same speech that Moff Gideon gave to Mando at the end of the second to last episode of season 1 about how precious the subject or Baby Yoda is to Moff Gideon. But now Mando is telling him that what you have is, worth more to me than you'll ever know.
Yes.
And stuff like that, which was really cool. That was that nice little change in stuff where it was
a reverse card.
Yeah, reverse card. Yeah.
Now, we can combine them because they are similar in a way, in the sense, like we said before, part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
But I do want to kind of jump in here and say I enjoyed these episodes probably more than I did the first half of this season. And the only reason why is because we had so much growth. Like everything that was supposed to lead up to the last episode, we're getting the wrapping to it. And not only did we get a wrapping, but us as viewers got to enjoy getting more background information of a minor character that we never thought we would see again.
Yeah.
Which was Miggs.
Yeah, and then especially to come back in the way that he did. We thought that in the last episode, Miggs is going to get his revenge on Mando and stuff like that. So it's another bad guy or another basically turmoil Mando has to face when it comes to season 2. But no, it was basically a team up, and we get an understanding from this character, and we feel for this character very, very deeply now.
We grew with him. We, in the commentary tracks for the tragedy, we predicted and knew and understood that Baby Yoda was not going to be with Mando. There needed to be something to instigate momentum in terms of the plot. We knew that he was either going to get kidnapped or there was going to be some sort of loss, and sure enough, that happened. The tragedy was the thing that is going to spark the season finale. It was the thing that was going to move it forward and give Mando an incentive to make something epic happen in the last episode. The Believer was more of that setup that led up to those events. And we can say that the tragedy was an episode, a little minor episode that we already knew was going to happen.
No, but it was, like you said, the build up for the reason why we had the season finale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Believer was, this is the way, I'm going to take control for just 1 second, because this is, and I more than anything appreciate what was done here. By Rick Famuyiwa. And Favreau continues this on the last episode. He literally looked at everyone and said, we're going to show you two sides. We're going to show you what generals and higher-ups think of all the battles that the Empire fought, and show you that they themselves are proud and believe 100% that every soldier that died on that battlefield did it proudly, that they believed until their souls left their body that they were fighting for the right thing. And then we have a former stormtrooper come out and say, no, I don't. Yeah. I survived that battle, and I can't live with myself. I can't sleep at night. We finally get to see the different perspectives of what it is to serve under the Empire. Yeah. Which was done so much better than the last 3 Star Wars movies in terms of Finn.
Yes.
That is honestly a little bit sad.
It is. Because it was done in a TV show, too. and not done in a major motion picture film.
In about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
With 3 movies that amounted to about 6 hours of watching.
Where they could have had all the time in the world, any choice of movie to flesh out Finn like that. But they didn't.
And they did it with Miggs in 15 minutes. Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great. That's probably the thing that really captivated me the most out of that whole episode, was witnessing that. And then seeing that turnaround as well, where they get to the facility and the TIE fighters are protecting them from the pirates, and then the stormtroopers are out there saluting them for getting there safely.
Yeah.
You get the hero's welcome from the Empire side, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you want to add before we move on to the last episode?
No, not really, because those 2 episodes were great. I loved The Believer. If anything, that was possibly like top 5 favorite episode for me, for sure. I don't want to say which one yet until we get to the end of like what's the list of our favorite episodes and stuff like that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Chapter 16, The Rescue.
So this was the episode basically we've been waiting for. This is not the fallout, but basically how is this whole great? We had such a great episodes to lead up to this point. How is this season going to end?
I'm so glad that I didn't see who was directing this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was directed by Peyton Reed. The same guy that directed The Passenger.
The Passenger. The episode that we kind of don't like we didn't like it.
Yeah.
We like the least.
Yes.
It was okay, but we didn't hate it. I should say we didn't hate it. It was just that coming off of episode 1 and then having The Passenger, which was, again, it was more of a bridge from episode 1 to episode 3.
Yes.
Basically, that's what it was.
This was written by Jon Favreau.
Yes.
And it was the second longest episode in the entire season.
Yes, because this one was 44 minutes.
I thought it was 50.
No, it's 40. Well, running time was 44 minutes. Let me see what episode 1 was.
Episode 1 was like 50 minutes.
Then, okay, yeah.
Second longest, probably. Second or third longest, we'll say that.
I think it goes off of like actual screen time on Wiki. See. I think it doesn't count the credits.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Did you want to take the summary for this one real quick? A 2-minute summary of 50-something long?
No, you can do it.
Okay. So the episode starts with the Slave One following an Imperial transport ship that houses the Doctor because he's trying to get to the... It's not a Star Destroyer, but it's like what, I don't know what they said. It was like a transport.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's a transporting ship.
Yeah, it's a bigger transporting ship or something like that, right?
An Imperial shuttle.
An Imperial, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So Slave One docks, and they manage to get in, and there's a small little conversation between Cara Dune and one of the pilots.
Yeah.
He's holding the Doctor at gunpoint. He shoots the other pilot because he's acting all freaked out and doesn't want to die.
He's like, wait. Boom.
Ends up dying anyways. Yeah. But this conversation's important because for the first time we get to see 2 different perspectives, and something that only fans really get to mention and isn't really talked about so much in, the movies or, the TV series and stuff like that. It was an altercation between Cara Dune and a former, soldier that was stationed at the Death Star.
Yeah.
He starts to instigate Cara Dune by saying, yeah, I was there at the Death Star. Which one? The first or the second? Which was such a fantastic burn. A fantastic burn. But this altercation was, you guys essentially believe that you won by destroying the Death Star, not knowing and realizing that there were millions of people that weren't just stormtroopers, but just innocent lives that were there. All for what? Because we destroyed Alderaan? You guys are terrorists. You guys are bad.
And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, dang, like the mentality of that. I was like, what was destroying planets doing then? That's the thing.
Yes, and I'll get to that point at the end of the summary because you get that. You get that separation. Destroy the Death Star that destroyed planets or destroy the planet to send a message. What was it? Why retaliate? Destroy Alderaan means that you can destroy the Death Star? Like, is there a right or wrong? We'll get to that at the end. Essentially, that ends it. And so now with the Doctor in hand and the transport shuttle that's going to the other where Moff Gideon is at, they managed to take that and, trick the communications between the two to think that they are being attacked by Slave One.
Yeah.
They managed to board the ship, and we get this awesome sequence where it's Bo-Katan, Cara Dune,
Oh,
I need the characters.
Cara Dune, Bo-Katan, Koska, and then Fennec. Fennec, yeah.
Along with the Mando.
Yeah.
In a full-on infiltration team.
Yeah, that's it. And so basically, Bo-Katan, Dune, and Fennec and Koska are the ones that are basically the frontline ones. They're the ones that show that they are attacking, while Mando basically goes around the back way and sneaks in and tries to get the child. And stuff. Yeah.
An all-women infiltration team,
which is so badass.
I didn't think about it until afterwards.
Yeah, me too, because I was just happy to see these characters kick ass.
Yeah.
That it didn't apply to me because I don't think it like that. Where, oh yeah, this is an all-women like attack group right here.
Yeah.
Marvel.
We're looking at you.
Freaking Endgame with that one scene. I mean, that was a cool scene to watch. Don't get me wrong, but that's the thing. This scene was better than that in Endgame because again, we saw individually how these characters handle themselves, but to see them team up, we know that it felt stronger. You felt that. Woo! You're like, yes.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I get you.
It was cool.
Yes. So while they're infiltrating to get to the Bay Area. Mando has to deal with a Death Trooper.
Because they're activated and they're ready to attack, and he's trying to close the door. One comes out.
And we get a massive...
That was really cool. This little fight between Mando and a Death Trooper droid.
He was getting his ass kicked hard.
The one thing that scared me the most, I think is when his head's going up against... Yeah, but his helmet is still intact because it's Beskar. But you're like, dang, like, ooh, someone come in, help him.
Yes, I freaked out. I was just like... He's going to die.
Yeah.
I didn't want to cuss, but I was like, he's going to die, and I don't want him to die.
Every time a season finale, his head has to be in trauma or something
like
that.
Manages to defeat this Death Trooper. He did everything.
Yeah.
He used his little micro missiles, his flamethrower. He uses the Beskar spear, stabs him, rips him open, and throws all the remaining Death Troopers out through the back door into space. We think that's the last of it, right?
Yeah, we're just like, okay, cool, they're done. That's it. We don't need to worry about them anymore.
Exactly. They get to the housing unit where they have Baby Yoda, and there's Moff Gideon with the darksaber in hand, turned on, about to decapitate Grogu. And that sequence of events was probably one of the most... It was the most uncomfortable scene I've probably seen in anything in the last maybe year, because knowing how well Giancarlo Esposito played Moff Gideon, I was so nervous that he was going to just decapitate him. And we can't do it. You can't do that so soon. Like, I know you can't, but just my heart was like, oh, he's gonna do this. He's gonna do it. Even still now, I'm getting goosebumps.
See, the thing is, really quick, if I was doing scenes like that or directing scenes like that, I would do a scene where that actually happens. Just to do it, just like let's say, okay, let's just act like, and just have that footage. But I'm never gonna use it. Be like, here's a deleted scene that we filmed, but we weren't really gonna use it.
You're messed up.
Yes,
but I agree with you.
Because you have that, like let's say you're directing and it's like, oh, this is it. This is the crucial moment. Like, what's gonna happen? And in the script, it's like the hero gets out of it. But let's just do it where the villain just like kills him.
And that's in that instant, it's a different sequence, right?
Yeah.
So they have a conversation where Moff Gideon says, "I know everything and anything about you. Every move that you made, to the point where I know that you used all of your little missiles that could have done something to me against the Death Trooper." And they have themselves an epic fight as well.
Oh, yes.
They're using the spear and the darksaber, and finally, Mando bests him, and he takes the darksaber.
Yes.
The bay is clear. We have the 4 women who have infiltrated the area, and they managed to get it.
Taken over the ship.
Yes, we think it's over. Yeah. But no. Moff Gideon has one other card to play. As Mando hands Bo-Katan the darksaber, he says, "You can't take it."
She can't get it. Yeah, she can't. She can't accept it.
Why not?
Because it has to be won in combat.
Oh my God.
Which I was like, dang.
The tension. Bo-Katan's face in this sequence was just, or in this scene, was, it wasn't even confusion.
No.
It was, do I murder him now?
Yeah.
Or do I murder him later?
Yeah. Like, when will I fight him?
Yes.
Basically.
Now,
and we all know that's gonna come.
Yes.
We're like, it's either gonna come now or later, but right now it's like, what's happening?
Yes. So as this whole scene plays out, the Death Troopers have now boarded the ship again from space. It seems like everything's over for our heroes.
They're barricading through the door. They're trying to basically open the door. They're going, but then we get an alert.
I gotta stand up for this.
We get an alert.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So I need to stand out of respect.
Go for it.
As they're breaking through the door, Grogu looks to, I believe he does, looks towards the security camera.
Yeah.
An X-wing, a single X-wing,
just one,
flies across the screen. We think reinforcements.
Yeah.
But why one X-wing?
Yeah. Even Dunn says that. Just one X-wing?
Just one X-wing. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
Pilot exits, and we see a lightsaber. A dark hooded figure with a lightsaber.
We're watching the footage from the screens first. So it's black and white. We see a dark hooded figure with a lightsaber.
We don't see the color.
No.
But we do see a gloved hand.
Yes.
Then we see the color.
We see what's happening.
It's green. X-wing. Gloved hand. Green saber.
Green saber.
What does this mean? Who is this? Tears, emotion, goosebumps.
Then we get another scene of his hilt of his lightsaber.
Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Oh my God. It can't. No, we never predicted this. There was no way, Rene. There's no way that we could have predicted this.
We couldn't have. We didn't think of it because it would have been too difficult to do.
He slashes through the last droids right before he reaches the door.
Yes.
Mando says, open them. But no, just trust me. Open them. The doors open, and in walks in Luke Skywalker. I'm crying.
I'm crying at this point, girl.
I'm crying. Holy mother of God, Favreau. You goddamn son of a bitch.
Yep.
What the hell are you doing to me? Putting Luke goddamn Skywalker in the show.
In the show.
Mark freaking Hamill.
From Return of the Jedi. Not, mind you, this is not Mark Hamill now.
No.
They CGI'd his face, even his voice.
I don't know if it was the tears. I couldn't tell.
And
he decides to say, I'm here for the child. But he doesn't want to go.
No, the child doesn't want to go.
Luke tells him he's waiting for your permission. And Mando and Grogu share this beautiful moment where they're saying goodbye. And you think that there cannot be more to this scene. You're already crying. You're already in tears.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap, the day has finally come when they need to separate.
Yeah, this is goodbye for them.
And what does Mando do?
He looks at him, takes off his helmet.
The last time. He breaks code to say goodbye to his child. And as he hands the child over to Luke, doesn't he let him walk over there?
Yeah, he puts him down, and he's looking, and he's still holding on to him one last time. And then R2 comes out.
Favreau.
R2 comes out, starts talking.
You didn't need to show us R2. But God damn it, you did.
Yep. And then Grogu begins to walk up to R2 and then walks up to Luke.
And Luke picks him up.
And
the last scene that we get before we see Luke walk into the elevator is our heroes. With Bo-Katan, we forgot to mention, shot up by Moff Gideon.
Yeah, she was shot by Moff Gideon.
We see our heroes looking at the child walk away. Luke walks into the elevator and turns around, child in hand, and the child looks. And we get a close-up of the child. Doors close. Scene. Fuck.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Then the credits roll. They keep rolling because we're thinking, we're just shocked at this point.
I let the credits roll.
Yeah, because me too. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let these play then, because I'm still at shock of what just happened.
The music beautifully orchestrated to let those emotions just sink in.
But then we get a scene.
You say this one.
This one, we get a look at where we're at. We're at Tatooine again. Jabba's palace. We're outside of Jabba's palace for some reason. Then we get an exterior look inside the palace. We see that his former henchman is now taking over Jabba's throne. But then there seems to be commotion outside. Upstairs, they send another person, another guard, gets shot up again. Down comes Fennec, shoots everyone around him, Jabba's little henchman, and then we get Boba walking down the stairs.
What's his name? The guy that sitting on the throne?
Let me see if it shows. Bib Fortuna.
Mm-hmm.
Bib Fortuna or Fortuna. Bib Fortuna.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Boba Fett, and then Bib goes Boba, and then shoots him.
Tries to negotiate something, knowing that he could die.
But no, Boba just shoots him, throws him off the throne, and then sits down on the throne. With
the
Fennec,
epic shot.
With Fennec sitting down with him along with it. Pans out, and then boom, the Book of Boba Fett. Next scene, in December 2021.
What more could you want? What more could you possibly want?
There's so much.
All right.
That was a lot.
So, this is the meatier portion of discussion. And we're already about an hour and 20 in.
Hour and 30.
Hour 30.
Yeah. So
this is a long episode.
This is going to be a long episode.
But it's the Mando season 2, so what do we expect?
Hey, you guys are sticking around. You guys are want to listen to our thoughts. Yeah?
Let's talk about the last episode and just what did we think about it? I mean, obviously your voices say it all.
Yeah.
But in words, what did you think of the last episode?
It was everything that I didn't expect. And everything that I wanted at the same time. Basically, Jon Favreau proved himself that he knows what fans want and what they don't know yet. So he's perfect. It was so great. The last episode, the reason why, so let's say, because I think we said it in our commentary track last week, where
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago in our commentary track that we didn't we predicted other people.
Oh, that was 3 weeks ago.
That wasn't Luke, basically, because you and I knew that it would be too difficult to bring Luke in, to write him in, or to even bring him in during this time, because it takes place, 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, Mark Hamill's he's aged. Mm-hmm. So how would you bring him in? They did it. Jon Favreau's like, well, we're gonna do it anyways. You know, it probably wasn't that hard for him to do, because it's something that himself probably wanted all along for Grogu, was to go off and just be trained by Luke. Mm-hmm. So, which was great. So great. It was tense. The whole episode was tense, satisfying, action-packed, and yet very emotional. Mm-hmm. And it was like, man, it had all four of those things.
Now, what did you think about when you saw Peyton Reed, directed by Peyton Reed?
I was shocked that, I was like, as soon as I saw it directed by Peyton Reed, I'm like, this is the guy that did The Passenger.
Yeah.
I was like, what? He was basically like, just wait. Let's just wait. Just wait, guys.
You thought you were wrong. You thought my episode was just The Passenger? Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
Rene. No, Rene, Bryan, sit your asses down.
Yeah.
Let me school you two and shut you guys up and show you what it is to be a director of Star Wars.
Yeah.
He shut us up.
Oh, definitely.
We did mention that we saw an all-women group, infiltration group.
Yeah.
Why was that? I think you said it already, but just to clarify, why was that so much better than anything we've ever possibly seen in cinema? You mentioned Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel, because, the thing is that when it comes to stuff like that, there's always great, Hollywood or any sort of studio likes to, when it comes to franchises, love to do fan service. Mm-hmm. And which is good. Fan service can be great. Fan service is fun. I love fan service. But if it's done right and not just pushed on you. Mm-hmm. With Endgame, they did a lot of fan service. But the thing is that maybe like 25% of it felt very forced. Mm-hmm. One scene in particular was the final fight scene between all the Marvel characters and Thanos. One scene in particular I'm talking about is the all-women,
Rescue, Valkyrie, Captain Marvel, they all show up.
Yeah, and stuff. And
Gamora.
Yeah. And it was cool. Don't get me wrong. It was cool to see that. But the thing is that it didn't feel powerful to me.
It didn't feel built.
It didn't feel built. The thing was, when we see Dunn, when we see Bo-Katan, when we see Costco. Oh my god, I gotta see her name again.
The names, look, it's
Koska,
very different.
Koska.
No one blames you.
Fennec, Dunn, Bo-Katan. When we see all those characters come together, we've seen these characters individually. Most of them was in the second half of this season. But we know that all these characters, they had an episode where they showed off how badass they were. Dunn in special, Dunn in particular, we've seen her through season 1 and 2. So it was cool to see her team up with other women as well too. And then it just felt awesome. Because you know that when these characters, like I said, are put together, it felt much more like you're like, oh crap, like there's no stopping this group. Because again, we've seen how powerful they are individually.
Every single one had a moment of spotlight in that infiltration scene. Every single one of those people had their own spotlight. They were all badass in their own individual way. In those 20 minutes of fighting off all those stormtroopers. For me, Cara Dune is my favorite. And when she had her gun jammed and the elevator's door opened she got it,
and then she just slams it.
Just
I got
mowing them down.
But it was even cool when her gun jammed, she just took it and just smacked it across the stormtrooper's face.
Yeah,
and we're just like, yes, improvise, girl, improvise.
Is there anything else you want to add before I give my thoughts on this?
So my final thoughts for this episode is that I love the way it ended. I love that basically this was Grogu's final arc. This was the end of his arc. It felt very satisfying. It felt very emotional. We know that basically we're not going to see Grogu again, maybe for quite some time or in the future, basically.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while until we see Grogu again, which is fine. I'm happy with that. I'm fine if we never see Grogu again, if anything. If we're told what happens to him. But there is one thing in particular I will mention in the commentary track about Grogu's fate, if it's not told what happens to him when he goes off with Luke later on in the series.
I will say, for me, I'm going to separate my thoughts of this episode into 3 groups, okay? Maybe 3, hopefully 3. Yeah. For me, I love the beginning because that small little 5-minute scene where Cara Dune is speaking to the pilot of the transport ship. And there's that altercation between, was it right to blow up the Death Star just because we blew up Alderaan? The way I explained it to you and Rebel and Bishop was the reason I appreciated that scene so much is because Favreau, when he wrote that, I felt like he looked at people that support the rebellion and said, I understand you guys. I understand why you guys enjoy seeing the Death Star being blown up. The first and the second. Yeah. Even Starkiller Base. These people are bad. I get it. Because they go out blowing planets to make a point. But then he turns over to the Empire people and he says, look, I also understand you guys as well. Yes, people that did not necessarily side with the Imperial forces were probably working on the Death Star and they got blown up. Was it right? No. Neither was blowing up Alderaan. But this is the facts of war. Yeah. You have losses from both sides. All done in 5 minutes. I don't know how he does it. Yeah. But he does so much in such a short time span.
Jon Favreau can just basically flesh out a character so well, or just bring you everything that you would want to see in the matter of minutes.
Yes.
And still be satisfied of that screen time of it, or that small duration of it.
Yes. The second thing that really captivated me was the sequence of infiltration scenes. When you have an all-women group like that are extremely fleshed out, my first thought isn't that they're all women. They're all fantastic characters with great character development, built to the point where it's so satisfactory to see them be who they are now. Yeah. And then at the end of it, you think, wait a minute. These are all strong women figures. This is freaking badass.
Yeah, this is how it should be done. Yes. It shouldn't be shown that these characters, because these women are women, they're strong and stuff. No, these are great characters. Yeah. We know everything about these characters and stuff like that. And we just see how strong they are in their own way.
Yes.
Yeah.
you know, there will probably be some people saying like, well, you guys are men, you guys shouldn't be talking for women in that sense. It's not that I'm trying to do that.
No.
It's more that, like, for me, it's just extremely satisfactory to see very well done writing showcased on the TV or in a movie theater, and it doesn't feel like it's an advertisement for something.
Yeah.
It's plot progression to progress the already epic tale of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
The sequence of events between Mando and the Death Trooper, Mando and Moff Gideon, intense moments that I forget you could actually receive on a TV show. We get these moments in cinema, in film, but to see it on TV, wow. I would not have thought to be so so intensified by just nerves, thinking that Grogu was going to get decapitated, that the helmet was going to break, that this could be the end of Mando before he got to Grogu.
Yeah.
It was intense the whole way through. And then for Moff Gideon to play his last card, something that no one really thought could have happened.
Yeah, that's the thing. To think that Moff Gideon had one more play up his sleeve. That whole dark saber thing. That was really clever and very villainy, which I love.
Yes. Then we get Luke Skywalker.
Oh, that was just like the 3 cherries on top of this amazing sundae already.
I already told you. I can't compare the scene to any food-related thing. I would always think of something that's so satisfactory to see as like the perfect bite of cake or the perfect bite of pie that has the right amount of crust or the right amount of filling. Or if it's in terms of cake, like the right amount of sponge versus the right amount of buttercream or filling.
See, the whole bringing in Luke thing and seeing him was just a great way, the most amazing way to do fan service, to show fans, old and new, this impact into the Mandalorian, you know, to show this character in the show like this, to say that, yeah, these characters met now.
Yeah.
And but then also to have that moment of just knowing that when Luke showed up, then that means Grogu goes bye-bye. This is it. This is the end of Grogu's story. And just to have that emotion, that moment, and just like saying goodbye was so impactful. This is a key moment now in Star Wars history. This goes along the side of, like, obviously, like when Darth Vader reveals that he's Luke's father.
Or Anakin being burnt at the volcano and left there.
Yeah.
You know, you've explained my emotions towards Grogu leaving.
Yes.
To wrap this up
Yeah.
and to get into our predictions of season 3, I'm going to say this. Favreau, and I've seen the meme where it's like, oh, an old photo of Favreau and Filoni playing with Star Wars toys, and, you know, them directing Star Wars and stuff now.
Or the one where it shows J.J. Abrams quoting him saying that, you know, it's hard to do Star Wars to bring in old fans or to satisfy the old fans while bringing in new fans. Jon Favreau saying, hold my beer.
Like, hold my gun or something like that.
Yeah.
Favreau does something. And he isn't one of my top 3 directors of all time. That belongs to Ridley Scott, Edgar Wright, and Taika Waititi. But Favreau, and I've said this before in the podcast, is my rival. And the only reason why is because he knows how to captivate my soul, read me like a book, and put minor details that I will truly appreciate. The land speeder or the pod racing engine. Possibly in the first episode of season 2. Minor detail that I caught on, I'm like, that's cool. That could be Anakin's, you know, engine from episode 1. It is
Tatooine.
It is Tatooine. It could possibly be, right? To showcase Luke the way he did.
Yeah.
If you didn't pick up the X-Wing or the glove or the green saber, the hilt of the Last Jedi lightsaber
that was
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that was the confirmation, essentially.
Holy crap, did you make me cry when I saw that hilt. That is, for me at least, besides Ahsoka's white lightsabers, that is my favorite lightsaber.
I know. I love that lightsaber a lot. The Return of the Jedi lightsaber.
I could not believe it. Favreau needs to be, Filoni, Peyton Reed, everyone who's worked on this, they need to be going down in Star Wars history as some of the best people to ever put anything into Star Wars.
Yeah.
Done. Like, holy crap.
Yeah. It was... This basically confirmed that whatever Jon Favreau has in store for the next Mandalorian series or season is that we have complete faith in him, that it will be amazing. To do 2 seasons that are... Season 1 was great, but season 2, he topped that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, this is it. Mm-hmm. This is what you guys wanted. And we're like, yes.
He ended the arc that began in season 1, but not only ended it well and gave you something that you really wanted, he's now hinting at what season 3 can be, which brings us to our finishing points. What do you think is going to happen in season 3? We know the Book of Boba is going to happen.
So that's the thing. People are kind of confused. They're saying, is Book of Boba going to be part of season 3? I think it's going to be its own thing, but I also think it's going to play a part in the Mandalorian series as well too. We talked about in the commentary tracks that, they could hint at another villain. They could hint at another turmoil that Mando has to face. I think Boba Fett is going to be that turmoil. I think Boba Fett is not going to be the villain per se, but I think it's something that Mando's going to deal with him in some way.
An Angel Buffy kind of scenario.
Yeah.
A spin-off that will still bring about the Mandalorian in certain portions of the show. Now, in terms of like the Mandalorian season 3 and where we can go into that, what do you think is going to happen next?
That's the thing. They hinted at he does now hold the Darksaber now. And Bo-Katan does want the Darksaber, but we did see that she was shot. So maybe that is something. Obviously, she's not dead. I don't see her dying.
She never spoke afterwards.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. There's stuff that they still have to basically. There's a lot of plot holes that they didn't leave undone, that they didn't finish yet. So one being obviously also Moff Gideon. We don't know what's going to happen to Moff Gideon. He's still alive, but he's going to be taken in by Cara Dune, And obviously they're gonna, we're gonna see maybe they're gonna try to basically maybe beat him for answers or something like that, or I don't know. We'll see. But I think season 3 will basically see Mando dealing with the other, the Mandalorians from Bo-Katan's, not planet, but her little tribe essentially, and we're gonna see a different outlook on those Mandalorians as well too.
So I don't think I need to talk about the Book of Boba Fett because you pretty much, I'm agreeing with you 100% there. Yeah. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
In terms of my predictions for season 3, I do see the main conflict being Bo-Katan versus versus Din at this point, Mandalorian, the Mando. Fighting not fighting, but there's this conflict between the two of who should be the rightful wielder of the Darksaber. Yeah. Mando clearly doesn't want it. He tried giving it, I yield.
Yeah. He doesn't want that responsibility. No. It's something that he doesn't want. But Bo-Katan is not just going to take it from him.
Yes.
So,
yeah. So we're going to get that. You also brought up a good point that reminded me of something, is that now we have 3 different versions of Mandalorian. We have Mando, who follows the ancient ways. We have Boba Fett, who seceded from the Mandalorian, culture, and is now technically a clone of a clone.
He's a clone of a clone,
And, Bo-Katan doesn't see him as a Mandalorian, but then she is also a part of a different culture that wants to take back Mandalore. So now you're going to have 3 conflicting cultures in terms of the Mandalorian. What's going to happen between them is what we're going to find out in season 3. Yeah. It's not going to be satisfactory, So we're going to see that conflict of who owns the Darksaber and what cultures and right ways should the Mandalore or the Mandalorians, what ways should they follow? There could possibly be answers as well as to how Moff Gideon managed to get the Darksaber, because I believe the last wielder, wasn't it Darth Maul, or did he die? I'm not so sure.
I don't want to. I want to say they resolved that because it went to a Mandalorian by the time Rebels came along. Yeah. It went to the hands of a Mandalorian.
So but we still have to figure out how Moff Gideon got it. Yeah. So we can get that. Yeah. We can get that as well. We'll figure out things like the M count and what that's significant about.
Yeah, they said that they already took Moff Gideon already took what he wanted from Grogu, which is just a sample of his blood.
And we're still going to probably find some stuff out about Grogu, because you mentioned that a customer came into the store and said that if they don't explain what happened to Grogu, then we have to assume that he died at the temple where,
Kylo Ren destroyed all of the Jedi younglings again.
Yeah. So they have to revisit that.
Yeah.
I do want to pose a question to you, the last question before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Andy was talking to me about this, where she said, well, wouldn't the events of the last episode not have happened the way they did? Wouldn't Luke have saved Grogu on his own if, the infiltration group never made it onto the transport ship?
But we didn't know that Grogu reached out to someone. If he did, obviously because Grogu doesn't talk. So if they did, he would have actually told Mando, I reached out to someone, don't worry, or something like that. Someone's coming for me. Obviously, then basically, I feel like Mando would still try to let's say this. Because of the relationship between Mando and Grogu, if Grogu even was able to tell him that he did reach out to Luke and then say, don't worry about me, someone's coming for me, Mando wouldn't just stand by.
No.
Because that's not his character.
No, he has to go in himself.
He would still go in.
I told Andy this, and it's something that I still really appreciate about Favreau's writing in the Star Wars universe. In terms of the Republic, when the Jedi Council was still active and stuff like that, the Force was not looked as magic. It was looked as the Force, right? The Republic falls, the Jedi are slaughtered, and we see common folk think of the Force as magic. Mando, clearly since season 1, does not believe in the Force and sees it as a magic, legendary force. And the Jedi are, legendary people of the past that you didn't believe he existed. I love how in season 2 we still get that character where he sees and starts to see physically Force being used in terms of communication, in terms of meditation, in terms of combat, and yet somehow he still doesn't believe in it.
Yeah.
We already knew that Grogu reached out to someone by the time the tragedy aired, right?
Yeah.
But Mando never thought about that.
No.
So regardless of it, even if, let's say, they never got the coordinates to Moff Gideon and stuff, yes, Luke would have gone and saved Grogu. But then that argument comes back where it's like, well, would Baby Yoda have gone with Luke, seeing as he wanted Mando's permission to go? Luke isn't that type of character. He would have taken Grogu to find Mando to then say, I have him.
Yeah.
Do you give me permission to take him?
Yeah.
Yes. So regardless, it would have ended the same way. Right?
No matter,
Oh, well, Grogu doesn't speak, so how would Luke have known? We saw that in the Jedi. Yeah. Ahsoka communicates with Grogu using the Force.
Yeah. They set it up that way where Grogu has to be put on the stone, basically send out a Force beacon, and then wait until an answer back.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can make an entire D&D campaign about the possibilities if, Mando never got the coordinates and would have it ended the same way. Yes. Okay, whatever. But in terms of simplification of connecting the story, Favreau did such an excellent job in putting everything together and making all these events make sense.
Yeah.
And that is why season 2 of The Mandalorian is probably one of the best pieces of Star Wars ever created for me, at least in my opinion, because you're going to disagree with me. One of the best pieces of Star Wars visual experiences that isn't Rogue One. Rogue One for me is top tier number 1. But Mandalorian was everything I never knew I wanted from Star Wars and received, and I am extremely happy to be living in a time and in an era where Favreau, Filoni, Reed, Howard, every single one of these people gave us something that we can just sit down and say, yes, this is what art is in terms of Star Wars. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just that this Mandalorian shows that, I can fall in love with a story that's not Jedi based. For me, at least. And I have. This is my favorite piece of Star Wars media. This is, for me, my favorite. Top number 1 is Mandalorian for me. And then maybe like the movies after that and stuff. Yeah. So
beautiful. Yep. You said it in one sentence where I had to say it in a full-on 2-minute speech. I know. I 100% agree with you.
Yes.
Rene, what a way to end and produce another annual for this podcast.
This isn't basically going to be an oversized annual. But
it's 2 hours long.
It's 2 hours long.
We apologize, but we thank you if you made it the whole way through.
Yeah, if you guys made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for taking the time and listening to us basically geek out on this whole, or nerd out on this whole Mandalorian season 2. But I'm assuming if you guys were listening to this, you guys nerd out as well too.
Oh yeah, no.
Obviously, you guys are Star Wars fans just like us.
Andy was telling me that she never understood why we always make the issues like an hour and 15 minutes long. She kind of wishes that they were a little bit longer. Well, she got it now. So now I hope if she made it here, if she made it all the way to here, she better tell me. And now then watch, she's gonna be like, oh, it's too long.
It's too long now.
Pick one.
You guys took too long.
You didn't need to say the whole detail. Stop it. Stop it. We were that excited. Pull up the script because you got to do the outro.
I have already.
Oh. I want the 200% Rene energy. 200% Rene energy. But before we...
Yes, go ahead. Sorry. No, you were going to do it anyway. So
okay. Before we wrap up this episode, just a reminder, if you're listening to this on our audio platforms, which is Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Apple Podcasts?
Apple Podcasts.
There we go. You can also find us on YouTube. YouTube, just look up Keeping Up with the Nerds. There's no, link set yet, but Keeping Up with the Nerds, it'll be the first thing that you'll see right there. And we post the podcast there as well with an intro and a nice little thumbnail and stuff that I work on. But you can find our podcasts all over on those platforms. On YouTube, we will also be posting up some stuff if it has not been already. Cyberpunk 2077 Collector's Edition unboxing. And come January 1st, surprise video. Not that long, but a surprise video.
A little surprise video.
For our 6th month, 7th month anniversary
and then
of the show.
Also expect, I believe, the first issue coming back in the year will be our Wonder Woman review of 1984.
Issue 29.
Issue 29 will be Wonder Woman 1984 full-on review.
Yes. So there's always that to look forward to. Follow us on our socials as well, Instagram and Twitter. Google us. Keeping Up with the Nerds. Number 1 result. We mentioned this in the last issue 28 because Keeping Up with the Kardashians is gone. So we are the top result, baby.
Yes, we'll be moving on up.
So find us there, follow us, tell us what you guys think of these issues and episodes, and let us know. We love to communicate with you guys, and we'll give you shout outs on the show as well. With that said,
all right,
Rene, one last time in 2020.
the year.
Let's end this.
Thank you, citizens, for listening to this issue of Keeping Up with the Nerds Variety Hour. I am your host, Rene.
And this is Bryan.
Coming to you from 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California, recording at Undercity Comics. We thank you, citizens, once again, and hope to see you all next time.